Hello, welcome to episode 26 of Baking Bread.li. I apologise in advance if I'm a bit hesitant. I haven't done one of these for about a week or so. I've been busy with all sorts of different things, and this just kind of got left by the wayside, which is a shame, really, as I was maintaining a good pace with the videos. Maybe doing too many of them. A few of my friends mentioned that these were getting quite a lot. I was doing like 2 or 3 in a week, and maybe I should make it a bit more scheduled so then it's consistent and something that people can refer to on a similar day. But these like kind of personal projects tend to just kind of get out of hand. Not get out of hand, should I say, but they're a passionate thing to pursue, and then you kind of like do it when you want to do it, and because you're in the zone like early on, you kind of do a lot in the first few days or weeks or whatever of it, and then it doesn't peter out, but then you realize, oh god, I can't keep up with that pace. Anyway, I thought I would keep this as a simple but useful video and talk about SSL. I don't know very much about it, but I know that it is the name. Do you know what my girlfriend said? The actual name of what an SSL is. Yes, Secure Sockets Layer. She was right. And it's, as the description says here, is the standard security technology for establishing an encrypted link between a web server and a browser. This link ensures that the data passed between the web server and browsers remain private and integral. Obviously, this is quite an important thing. It's not essential to a site. You can just run it off. Well, with SSL, you would run a site through HTTPS, which you've probably seen like here. Like this is HTTPS, and that means that it is a secure server, or is hosted securely. Whereas HTTP can be stored securely, but there is no certificate to ensure that that is true. And one of the sites that was more popular that did get switched to SSL was CSS Tricks, and Chris Coyer decided to just switch over to it and make the whole site just secure, which is cool. And maybe a year or so ago, this was quite difficult to do, but there are many different ways to get an SSL certificate, and in our case, it's a lot easier because Bread.li was set up using Cloudflare. So at the minute, we don't have an SSL at all, and we can add one on by not even like touching any code. So I'm gonna get into it without like dilly-dallying, without like kind of messing around. I'm not explaining this very well, but I shall do my best, doing it on the fly. So I've made an issue. I've made an issue in on GitHub, and then I'm viewing it in Waffle. So switch to SSL as the title entails. So we don't have to touch any code, but what we do need to do is to check requests. This is important. This is what I have had to sort out on other sites that I switched to SSL. You have to check which protocol things are coming from. So if you are wanting to have a site on HTTPS, which is what the SSL is for, then you'll need to make sure that everything is being served up from somewhere that has both, or is, well, no, it's got both. So what you can do is, for example, if you've got a Google font, let's have a look at Google Fonts. That's kind of a good example. Google Fonts. So you've got a Google font on there. So let's pick this one, Open Sans. So add to collection, use, and you would do this. You would use this link, wouldn't you? You would use href http / blah 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 blah, all that stuff. Or you'd use an import and it's got HTTP again, or JavaScript. And JavaScript's got HTTP or HTTPS. But normally we use @import or standard like link import with a style sheet. This is the issue right here. Now what you can do is, instead of doing HTTP, you can just put in the URL from the /. So this makes the URL, and I've coined this from my friend Ben, is make the URL protocol agnostic, which was I thought was a pretty good terminology for it. So what you can do is you can do the /. I was just testing it out, see if you can actually just like fire it straight in and do it. But I think what happens is, if you're hosting the file and using this URL, just doing like / fonts.google API, it will decide for you. So it will just go, is it on a HTTPS site or is it on a HTTP site? And because we're on HTTPS, it will just resolve to HTTPS. But that's okay for Google Fonts. If you're using something else and you are not sure whether it's got HTTPS, you need to check. So you need to check whether, by just simply doing HTTPS and seeing if you can get to that. So you can get to it on there, and then you can also do HTTP and it will go to the same file. But you need to check for these things, because if not, it will fail. It will fail the SSL certificate. The site will still work, but this certificate will not be valid. So that's one way of getting, is making sure files are being hosted correctly for your SSL enabled site. But there's also another way, which is what I've been doing on the Bread.li site, is keeping stuff internal and keeping all the files within the site. The main example of that is the HTML5 shiv, which I've been constantly pulling in using Bower. So Bower's pulling that in, and that is an actual file hosted in there. So that's different to like hosting it on a CDN. So you can then serve it up from the GitHub Pages server, or the site, the self-contained site or box, and you can say, I want this to be HTTPS or whatever I want it to be. So it's all like self-contained, and I like that more, because I've got control and I've got all the modules and components that I can pull in myself, instead of using like CDNs and things like that. I can keep everything self-contained. So if I want to change where this is hosted, or what protocol it is, or what URL path it is, it's all relative and it's all nicely contained in one area. So I'm pretty sure that Bread.li or Bread.li is going to work when I switch it over to HTTPS. But we will see what happens. I'm going to try this out. How are we doing for time? 9 minutes. That'll be 5 minutes of me kind of talking rubbish and then actually getting into this. So I'm going to quickly check the errors on this site, see if there's anything coming up. None at all. Quite happy with that. And the trick to this is by going into Cloudflare. And Cloudflare is something that we set up in a different video. Very easy to do with the name servers. I didn't actually show that in the video because I didn't want to show too much of the personal stuff on Cloudflare. But it is very easy to set up. They pretty much hold your hand through the whole process. And what I'm going to do is change the settings on Bread.li, because Bread.li's already set up on here. So I can do Cloudflare settings. Hopefully it hasn't logged me out, because Cloudflare seems to log me out quite quickly. I think the login sessions are very short. Thank goodness for that. So let's go into the settings, and we need to check for the flexible SSL. So if you see that here, I will zoom in a little bit. So when you sign up for Cloudflare, you get a free SSL, and it can take up to 24 hours to activate. So that's the default flexible SSL that you get when you sign up to Cloudflare, and that comes with every site. And it's awesome. I mean, the fact that you have to wait 24 hours for the SSL to come up on each site that you add is really not a problem. So if you were setting up, like, if you were building a site for somebody and then you needed an SSL on there, you could just set up the domain thing straight away, and a day in, you're still going to be working on the site. So great, you can, as long as you plan that in advance, that day is not going to hold you back in the development process. So what we've done here, I've just checked. All I'm doing is just checking. So there's other SSL types here, but they require a bit more complex stuff, which I really actually don't know much about. But I'd like to find out how these work, and they probably do cost, because they're like full strict stuff, whereas this is just a simple flexible SSL. So that's on there. So now what I need to do is I need to go back and then go to page rules. And this is where we can tweak each page or each URL on Bread.li and change how they behave. And one of them is always use HTTPS. And I can just turn this on here, but I need to obviously give it a URL path. And what I can do is put in Bread.li. So I don't think I need to put in the protocol, obviously. I don't know why that's obviously. I'm thinking that you don't. And what we do is we put in Bread.li, so any domain with Bread.li, and then I'm going to put a star, and that's wildcard. So asterisk character, you create a powerful dynamic pattern that can match a series of URLs rather than just one. So that's a wildcard. So anything with the prefix of bread.li/star, so that's everything on the site basically, will use HTTPS as soon as I add this rule just here. But you can also, if you want, you can prefix it. You can put anything with a subdomain. So if we had baking.bread.li, you could put that there, and then any subdomain of Bread.li would then use the SSL certificate as well. Well, it would enforce HTTPS. So this is what's going to happen. It's going to make every request, every page view on the site appear on HTTPS. That's essentially what we're going to do. So anytime someone goes to bread.li, it will go to HTTPS by default. Okay, I think that's the best way to explain it. So add rule. So we've added that, and I think it says, yep, it says it will take 60 seconds to take effect. So the technique would be to constantly refresh this until it works, until it changes. But in the meantime, I will mention something that My friend Ben also just said to me, we just did the Bit podcast episode for this week, and he told me that having HTTPS or having an SSL site actually improves Google rankings. So if you have a secure site, Google will prefer it more to maybe another site. I don't know how powerful that is, but that is quite a cool benefit. You know, even if you're not selling stuff on there, which is kind of one of the main reasons you have an SSL, is so you can have a secure site and you're using logins or selling something on there. So even if you're not doing any of that and you put HTTPS on your site, then it's quite cool that Google rewards you for it, if very minorly. You know, you might not really notice because Google's such a kind of, the Google ranking system is such a kind of complicated thing. Still not changing. I mean, what I should be able to do is I should be able to go HTTPS and visit the site on that. Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up with a little like warning on there. It's interesting. So if we inspect it, it will come up with a little warning in here. Mixed content. The page at https:/Bread.li was uploaded over HTTPS, but is requested an insecure image. Placehold.it. The content should be served over HTTPS. Well, I've not listened to my own tips. So what I need to do is I need to check this placeholder and whether I can do HTTPS. I can. So what I can do is change this and change this over. Let's just check whether Bread.li's actually enforcing. Doesn't seem to be enforcing it yet. Well, in the interim, we shall open up terminal and cd into sites and then Bread.li and then do git pull. Let's pull down all the diffs. We can also do git fetch. I haven't been really using this, but actually git fetch actually gets the changes from all branches, and then you can do a git pull and it pulls it all into the different sides of it, where you can make sure everything is up to date locally. So let's open, what would it be? Includes, no. I found this other technique as well. I can do Coda. Because I use Coda as the as my code editor, I can do Coda and then do not partials, layouts, and then I can do, no, I want to do includes, and then I want to do header.html. And then it opens up in Coda, which I'm pretty pleased about. Saves a tiny bit of time. Okay, logo. So what I need to do is do this. So you see, so that will just select HTTP or HTTPS. It will pick one or the other. So I'm going to do git commit am and changes, removes protocol. Is that how you spell it? Wow, I'm terrible at spelling. Always good to check. Oops. Removes protocol from placeholder logo. Git push. And then what I'll do is I'll go to GitHub and then we want to go to David Darn's, Bread.li. And then we want to do a quick pull request. And we'll put AIDS #68. And we'll do bug and assign it to me. And in the meantime, we shall check this. It doesn't seem to be doing it. Doesn't seem to be playing ball. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quickly check. How are we doing for time? 20 minutes. I'm going to quickly check this, which is one of my other sites. Yeah, that's fine. And then if you go to here, so if we want to go to this site, it will enforce HTTPS. How weird. Maybe we need to go to like let's go to a page or something. How strange. I'm just waiting for Travis to say okie doke, but to be honest, I'm far too eager. So let's just merge it. Let's go for it. Caution to the wind. Hey, green light. So we've got our verification. That's working okie doke. And everything works over HTTPS. But nothing is enforcing it over HTTPS. So what if I do HTTP? Very strange. Very strange that it's not changing the rule over. Okay, so always use HTTPS. Very, very strange. I'll come back in a moment. I want to show you it working, and I just want to find out why. But I don't want you to watch me doing nothing basically and not hearing me. So I will be back in a few moments. Just bear with me. Okay, so there's a gap. There'll probably be no gap whatsoever to what I just said, and magically Bread.li started working over HTTPS like by default. So I don't know what happened. I think there might have been just a big delay of more than 60 seconds. So there could have been a 60-second delay to the server, and then a 60-second, like more delays from other things bouncing around. But that image now like works over HTTPS as we did before. And if I do a new tab and then type in Bread.li, it switches to HTTPS by default. So there you go. Simple as that, he said. So that's how you set up HTTPS with Cloudflare. I'm sorry, it's not much of a tutorial screencast. It's more of a fumbling through this kind of stuff and me discovering things and kind of explaining stuff as I go along, as they are with all the other videos. And I am going to probably reduce the amount down, so I'm not filling up all my evenings doing this. But I want to continue doing it because the site's kind of developing quite nicely. I think design needs to be thought about, because at the minute all it is just this Bourbon stuff, and I'm just relying on the Bourbon framework to style all my things, when really I should come up with a design and make the front end work for that design and have a nice collaboration between front end and design. So I may put some stuff up on Dribble. I'd like to get Dribble back up and running again, because I used it once for actual design feedback. Didn't get many replies on it, but maybe it's worth putting stuff on there for colors and fonts and try and get some feedback on bits of ideas, and then maybe review them in a video instead of kind of talking about design in a screencast. I think talking about design works better in a podcast, ironically, when you're talking about it but not showing anything, because the stuff on screen won't change very much. It's just like an image, and you just look at the design for ages and ages, when really you could look at the design while listening to a podcast. Anyway, I digress. So yes, so I want to get more design going, get a kind of theme for this site, a layout, a way of presenting all the content correctly. There is enough content in here to explain what needs to be on the site, so that's something to go with, and then start building upon that and seeing what we come up with. So the front end framework's there, and all the components that are needed, and the site works. So all that's left is aesthetics and structure and layout and all the kind of nice obvious things that come with a website. So hopefully we'll be doing that in the next videos, which might be a bit of a gap. So tell me what you think about this video. Obviously, I'll be posting this up on the Bread.li blog, and it will be on my YouTube channel, which is a mess, but tidy enough. And I'll tweet this and just give me feedback. I mean, this is all on the fly, and I'm kind of doing it to improve confidence when talking to myself in a microphone and thinking about things out loud. It helps you work out stuff better and improve your logical mind when working on things and figuring stuff out. So this video may not benefit you, but it benefits me, and if it benefits you, then awesome. That's kind of like the cool bonus. So I say so a lot. That will be something that somebody will probably tell me not to do. Stop saying so and stop saying Anyways, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.